The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And we're back. Often imitated, never duplicated. I'm Nick. With me, as always, is the man, TJ, who's hammered. And we are here to bring you another week of sports excellence, discussion, conversation, maybe a few laughs. You know what the best part about this show is? It's not just me talking to myself.
The alcohol?
It's not just me talking to myself. You know, there's a lot of podcasts out there where it's like one dude on a mic, one dude, one mic. And
honestly, I respect the hell out of those people. I'm not going to lie. But the other thing I respect is having you here with me. So it is now social drinking and not me having a problem. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
So another week of sports. Nick, you are rocking your Rangers jersey. The Rangers are playing right now, currently down 1-0 to the Detroit Red Wings. A very lazy play by the boys going back into their defensive zone. I'm going to put that one on Zibanejad because he let a little touch pass go right in front of him. Didn't pick up the man, didn't pick up the stick, didn't pick up the body. Goal right behind Halak.
Original 8 matchup tonight.
You mean original 6?
That's what I said.
You said original 8.
I'm losing my mind.
You threw me off there. I was watching TV and you got caught. I was like, wait a second. Did I hear that right? Original 6 matchup. Always awesome. Speaking about original 6, there is some trade rumors between two original 6 teams we will get to.
Do you know what that is, right? That's me sitting there reading while I'm talking. And I looked down and I was reading somebody's number. And I went original, and then I read it, and I was like, shit, I just read the wrong word, didn't I?
Listen, it happens to the best of us.
You ever have a conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden you start talking, and you start to read something, and you start saying what you're reading as opposed to saying what you're trying to say?
All the time.
The
time. You know what I do a lot? When I was talking to you on my commute home from work, we were BSing a little bit today because we are friends in real life. And BSing on the ride home, negating the traffic and the annoyance of having to drive in New York City. And I completely forgot to make the turn that I was supposed to make. I kind of cut a whole bunch of people off. And I made it. I made it.
Shit like that happens. The worst part is when you miss your exit.
Dude, I've done that. You know what? I zoned out so much on Staten Island one time. I went into Jersey not realizing it. And I had to turn back around and go through. I didn't have my Easy Pass. I had to pay cash. When you were allowed to pay cash at the toll for it. I was in my work car too. I zoned out. So
we have a call or a comment from YouTube from Anthony Triscano. Hey guys, this is awkward, but I'm on a podcast called Sports Addicts. Did you steal my name? It's show with my buddy CJ and Rick. No, that we are aware of. There is allegedly a Sports Addicts something or other. I'm not entirely sure, but we've been doing this damn thing for almost 2 years now. 2 years?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, often imitated, never duplicated.
I'll tell you right now. Let's see. I'll tell you right now, not to give some dead air, but all we have to do is go over to our lovely Twitter account and see when this was created. Bear with me.
Okay.
It was created May 2021. So we're coming up on 2 years of broadcasting to, the few, the proud, the addicted. And people like to steal our name. It is what it is. I guess, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But Antonio Triscano can suck my ass. That guy is a shill. I wouldn't trust anything that guy is pushing. I believe he's an insurance salesman, which is one of the two most evil jobs you can have in this world, the other being a lawyer. So it's kind of fitting, but
not lawyer, politician. Politician's up there.
I feel like most evil lawyers become politicians.
There it is. Being a politician is like being a lawyer on steroids. Like instead of being a lawyer for one person, you're a lawyer for a group of people all the time.
You just embrace the Prince of Darkness as your king. And
listen, the best lawyers make politicians because they know how to circumvent the law. Isn't that the whole point of being a politician? Like,
not even circumvent it. I mean, loopholes. You could just essentially break. No. But what I mean, what I was going to say is, you can break the law, right, and kind of just work your way around. I guess that would be circumventing. I see in my mind, circumventing means going around breaking the law. But at this point, politicians break the law and then change the laws to suit what they just did. I don't think that's circumventing as much as like insider trading with laws.
In circumventing, and when you say the word loop and or go around, literally circumventing.
I had to circumvent my own statement, if you will.
But yeah, I wouldn't pay any credence to anybody that's trying to make a name for themselves off our name. That's just shenanigans, is what it is. It's
pajamas.
That damn it, God damn it, pajamas, 100% pajamas.
Bam.
That's what that shit is. That's yeah. Like I said, I'm glad I got somebody to talk to on this show because I feel like if you don't have somebody to bounce off of, do you have any friends? Because clearly you don't. You got to have somebody to talk to. Like even Skip Bayless talks to Shannon Sharpe, and they hate each other.
That's true. That is true.
Nobody to talk to, then like you're not even worth hating.
It's funny. Do you think who do you think the problem is in that situation? Skip Bayless or Shannon Sharpe, or are they just both intolerable?
So I think that they're toxic together, but at the same time, I have a lot more respect for what Shannon Sharpe has to say about football, considering he played professional football. He's in the Hall of Fame. Skip Bayless is like a 95-year-old man who dresses like he's 22, and he needs to stop. Like, honestly, I find it embarrassing. Like, dude, like I'll never forget it. I used to bump heads with my old boss. And when I was like 31, maybe, he actually said something to me, and he was kind of like, dude, piece of advice, you're over 30, stop wearing jeans with holes in them that you didn't earn. Like, if you didn't get a hole in your jeans because you were working and you ripped your jean, don't fucking wear jeans that have holes in them. Stop shopping at Express. And God damn it, Master Sergeant Benke, you're a fucking hero. Like, right on, man. He was absolutely right about that.
Yeah, you know what? Shannon Sharpe, like you said, NFL takes, I will put some trust in what Shannon Sharpe has to say. But I think they are from two different like eras of the way they think and the way pop culture and politics and everything gets shoved into sports today. I think those two just absolutely see completely different, and not in a fun clashing way, but just like they both hate each other's guts kind of way. Yeah,
like it seems violent.
Yeah, anytime it goes away from sports and into the realm of what's going on in the world other than sports, it just looks like they want to choke each other out. Like somebody's about to go get a plastic bag and some duct tape. Do a little,
again, Skip Bayless just runs me the wrong way because he's like 70-something years old and he's walking around in a suit with Jordans on. Like, you're a 70-something-year-old white man. Knock it off, man.
You think he pulls up to the studio like that, or do you think they dress him like, dude, your penny loafers and your board shorts that you got 70 years ago?
Listen, if he was more like Tony Kornheiser, I'd have more respect for him. Because like the way he is now, he's just a joke.
That's fair.
He's a joke. Like I love Wilbon. I feel like they're like a Wish.com Wilbon and Kornheiser. Because I love Wilbon and Kornheiser. Like that show is awesome. I love that show. But we move on. We digress, right?
We do.
Let's talk. Just this past weekend, a lot of football just ended, starting up again. We got spring football again. The XFL started up this weekend. Couple things I wanted to run by you. I know you didn't catch too many of the games. A lot of the games were entertaining. At one point, at the Sea Dragons game, it was the Sea Dragons versus the DC Defenders. They created one of those beer snakes.
I heard that's out of the two things I caught a little bit of one of the games this weekend, but I wasn't really paying attention. It was at my godson's christening. and the game was on, and I got to see a 3-point play, and that was pretty cool. And then the beer snake thing I caught on social media, and like lemons, they rained down lemons.
Yes, they did. You know what though? It's fun. It is fun. The fans are there. They're interacting. They're getting a little airtime. Like it. I think people forget what the point of sports is. They forget it is about entertainment. It is not about winning. It is not about making money. It's about entertaining. And entertaining is what we're here for. And everybody goes, oh, it's about winning. No, it's not. T, who won that WNBA championship last year?
A bunch of women.
Do you know what team?
Oh, no. I was keeping it vague.
It's all about winning, right? Isn't it all about winning? No, it's about entertainment. If it's not entertaining, then nobody watches. And that's the WNBA, is it not? Like, am I crazy? So Rook said, Defenders crowd is wild. They're like an European. Rook, it's a European soccer club's fan base, not an European. What country are you living in? An European. And he went to college. He has like a doctorate and shit.
Yeah, but you know what? It's funny. A European sounds right, but an is. Don't you use an in front of a vowel?
The vowel has a vowel sound.
Right, but the U is right behind it. Euro, and you can use an even when you can use an in even if a vowel isn't used. If it sounds like a vowel, you're allowed to use an. That is true. And just like if it doesn't sound like a vowel, you don't use an. You're European. You.
Yeah. Why, sir?
Why?
You is
Ugh. Yeah, that's true.
But
that's true. I stand corrected.
So 2 things I want to talk about XFL, other than the fact that the games were fun, a lot of big hits. Like you're not seeing that ticky-tack bullshit where like the guy looks at somebody the wrong way and the ref throws a flag. Like that's
the game. The games were played. The games were played out of the couple minutes I caught standing at the bar having a beer with the fellas at the christening. The games were definitely played. There, I don't think I seen a flag in the probably 5-10 minutes I was watching.
You see little things. You see like egregious holding. You see, Rook, you're not breaking my brain. You just can't write. All right. And you don't use it before all vowels, only vowels that say vowel sounds. Anyway, moving forward, this ignoramus who got a doctorate and doesn't know when to use an.
We should ask Antonio.
Antonio Toscano.
Toscano.
So the thing that I want to talk about with the XFL was a couple things. One, the players raved about The Rock and his crew that own the XFL showing up to every game that was played. If you're a player, what does that mean to you?
That means that the owner has faith in his product and he's there to push it wholeheartedly.
Right? Does that make you feel better?
Absolutely, but I don't think you're going to see that the entire season.
You might. What else is he doing? Unless he's making a movie this year, and he's
that's what I'm saying. I'm sure he's busy as hell. So I think that if he has free time, he definitely seems like a genuine guy that doesn't mind pushing what he's trying to get paid to push. But the fact that it's his baby, it's his kid, it's what he's trying to get across as a national sport. Something that he wants people to get behind, because that's essentially what you need. You need a fan base. If you want your sport to get anywhere, you need a fan base. You need these teams to have a fan base, and you want rivalries. You want some animosity. The Rock might have to go give somebody a rock bottom outside one of the stadiums, to a hometown kind of guy, and just stir some shit up. Because if you ever want to push a sport, create a rivalry, create animosity, and you'll make the news at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of the players, it meant a lot for him to show up because he owns every team.
That's pretty cool.
He doesn't need to. The other thing is we saw guys like AJ McCarron out there. We saw Josh Gordon out there. We saw the name escapes me right now, but Rook had mentioned it earlier today when we were chatting about some stuff. The damn quarterback from the Broncos, basically, unfortunately for him, he's been benched in the CFL, the XFL, the NFL, and the the USFL. He's played in all 4 leagues, and he's been benched in all 4 leagues. Paxton Lynch, that is.
I think that's a record. Like, I think that's got to be something. I mean, I would assume that the Guinness, book of, whatever. What is it? The Guinness Book of World Records. There we go. The Guinness Book of World Records would have a place for that because they have the most mundane records. And being benched in every iteration of professional or somewhat professional football, that's not going to be broken anytime soon.
Rook said, damn, Nick was right this time. Apparently European makes a soft J sound and it's consonant, so it's A. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Soft J meaning like yogging.
Yes. This new thing that people are doing.
Or yawn. Not Jan, Jan. Bombay's friend. But Paxton Lynch was drafted in the first round, number 26 in the 2016 NFL draft. And it has not been a good 7 years for Mr. Lynch. He has been busted down and benched at every level of football outside of college. That is sad. In professional soccer, they call that relegation, where you just keep your team gets dropped from each league. Like if you're in the best, you're in the Premier League. And then if you suck, you get dropped down, you get relegated to a lesser league. If anybody watches, what's that show called with this guy? Ted Lasso, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't think that's sad though. I think it's just being on the cusp of being able to do what you want to do in life. Like at least you had the opportunity. So you can't really think somebody that had the opportunity is sad. You could feel that it's wasted or could have tried harder, but
I'm going to tell you why it's sad. It's because at some point you figure he must be able to succeed at one of these levels. Like, I get it. You didn't make it in the NFL. Understood. CFL, the rules are a little different. Got it. USFL, that's like one step above college. XFL, talking about guys that failed out of college. Like, they weren't bad football players. They couldn't read. Like, how did you play at Memphis, dude? Like,
they weren't good enough to get the easy A and get the passing grade. So XFL it is.
The only thing I can think of is that in the XFL, you're going against guys like Josh Gordon, guys like AJ McCarron. You're getting some NFL players that maybe burn bridges in the NFL and therefore aren't allowed to play in the NFL anymore. Or maybe when he was in college, he was just 22 years old, beating up on 17-year-olds, and that's how he did it. But now
it's funny with professional sports, and you see this in hockey, you see this in baseball. If you just get hot and you catch on in the right situation, you can be a professional. You can make it worth your while. You can milk it for everything that it's worth, and you can make yourself at least a couple years of a career out of it if you just hit your stride at the right time with the right opportunity. You know what I mean? And we've seen it happen where you don't expect people to be MLB players. Like I think the perfect example is Shelley Duncan with the New York Yankees. Just started dropping bombs out of nowhere, and he doesn't look like an MLB player. I would never, I don't think anybody in the league would be like, oh, yeah, we got to draft this kid Shelley Duncan. And then all of a sudden he knocks a couple home runs and slams his forearm against his teammates begrudgingly after hitting said home runs. And he made himself like a little niche career for about a year and a half.
Yeah, but at the same time, this guy's a first-round pick. In my mind,
listen, I'm not trying to use him as, he's
got to be a backup. No, like in the NFL, if he's a first-round pick, his ceiling is regular player every day. His floor has got to be backup. No, serviceable backup. He's not even a serviceable backup in Canada or
practice squad material
or the USFL. Like, he's not a backup.
Right.
So now we're in the XFL. Is he a starter in college anymore? Like, I'm talking about his skill set, not his age.
Right.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But what do you think about these guys getting a second chance, like Josh Gordon, AJ McCarron?
I think it's awesome, dude. Hey, listen, the tough part, like we said, is the sport catching on. It's getting fans. It's getting people interested. It's getting the airtime. It's getting on the sports media spectrum and everybody pushing it along. It's creating storylines almost like the WWE or AEW, getting, something to push and something to entertain, because at the end of the day, it's all the same sport. But like if you live in a certain hometown, I know, especially in like Texas, it's big. High school football in some towns in Texas is huge. It's life. It's the shit. Whereas you couldn't name me 3 high school teams in Staten Island other than the fact that you know the names of the high school. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't know a single player on the team. You wouldn't know the coach's name. You wouldn't know anything about the team. You'd barely know when they played during the year.
Just to clarify, though, if you are into high school football, which most New Yorkers are not because it's not good, but simply because we have pro teams and we can go watch pro football whenever we feel like it.
Correct.
If we didn't have pro football, there is very good football in Staten Island, specifically Staten Island. Curtis, Tottenville, and Farrell High School are all very like the respective powerhouses in New York City.
Oh yeah,
but and Curtis, Tottenville, and Farrell have all pushed out pro football players that have played in the NFL and been drafted in the first round, for that matter. Dominique Easley got drafted in the first round by the Patriots. He went to Curtis High School.
Oh, I'm just letting you know, I can't sit idly by and let you leave St. Peter's Boys High School out of this equation.
They're not good at football.
They're great at football. Suck it.
They are not.
They're great at everything.
They get their asses beat by Farrell every year.
Yeah, well, we still beat the shit out of every Curtis kid that walked past us in the train station. So
not true. You guys
just saying.
6 white guys beating on 1 black kid is not beating the shit out of people. All right, like give me a break.
Listen, it wasn't a hate crime back then. I'm joking. It's a joke. Relax.
Oh my god, that's why we have an LLC. Shit. So the other thing about the XFL was the fact, again, these guys got second chance. So you're getting pro football players. Somebody like Josh Gordon, I think he has a skill set to be in the NFL. I don't think he belongs in the NFL simply because the league has rules and he refuses to follow them. And me personally, I'm a person that's like, hey, listen, if I love steak, but if you told me I'll give you $10 million a year for 10 years to not eat steak, guess what? I don't eat anymore. It's just not worth it. $10 million, I'll eat all the steak I want at the end of, like, when I'm done with the 10 years.
That's the old dude. That's the Ricky Williams situation. The guy refused to stop smoking marijuana.
I don't have to for him.
Dude, his contract was worth what? Like $40 million?
Something like that. Something ridiculous. Listen, I have zero sympathy. I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, almost. All right. I make $800,000 a year and I can't smoke weed. And I do it for $100,000 a year. I don't want to hear about guys that can't, I got to smoke this weed to make this $16 million. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, just don't smoke weed, man. Just play football. Like, don't smoke weed and make $16 million. How hard is it? I don't get it. That's called addiction.
Drink like the rest of us, damn it.
Truthfully, that's called addiction. When you can't stop doing something and it literally hurts you because now you're unemployed, you have a problem. And all the potheads out there are going to get mad at me and go, that's not true. You can't get addicted by marijuana. Alcohol is worse. Well, listen, I know plenty of potheads that can't go to sleep without smoking some weed. I go to sleep just fine without taking anything. I might have a sip of iced tea before I go to sleep because I like the flavor. But that's about it.
I mean, if there is ever a case of somebody being addicted to marijuana, giving up tens of millions of dollars because you're not allowed to smoke weed, if that's not an addiction, I don't know what is.
Crackheads do it all the time when they lose their jobs because they got to do crack. Oh, no, weed is not addictive. Moving forward, USFL is coming up with a draft this year, which in my head, I think that's kind of cool because some kid that was never going to play in the NFL, he's getting he's I'm sorry, he's getting drafted in the US. I'm laughing because Anthony just said, my wife just called me an idiot for thinking it was an European. And I quote, she said, what is wrong with you? You're a lawyer. Thank you, Brandy. I said the same thing. What is wrong with you? You have a doctorate. I dropped out of college, and even I know it's not an European.
It wasn't even a good college that he dropped out of.
College. Then again, he got his bachelor's at the same college, so I can't really say.
He got his bachelor's in CSI?
He did.
Wow. I dropped out of that school too as well. Let's go.
He got his master's, or his doctorate rather, from Hofstra, because he's a smart fella and it's a good school. But my friend Pat also got his doctorate from Hofstra. He's also
okay. Just throw a whole bunch of educated people in my face. Great, thanks.
I'm a dropout like you, my friend. We're living pretty good lives. Tell you what, for college dropouts, and you know what we don't have? Educational debt.
It's true. I paid out of pocket for my CSI education the 2 years I went. And all I have to show for it is this podcast and my friend Nick.
Bang, bang.
Made up pretty well.
So the USFL, right? They've got a draft coming up. And I got to say, like, if you were not planning on playing pro football or walking on, it's got to feel pretty good to get a phone call and be like, hey, man, we want you to come play football for us. Not, hey, man, come try out to play football for us. But, hey, man, we want you. It's got to feel pretty good.
I agree. What's the salary situation like?
I'm not entirely sure what the salary looks like in the USFL, but it's got to be comparable with being on a practice squad in the NFL.
Let's see, USFL average salary. Let's see what the old Google says about the USFL. The new CBA, which is still needs to be ratified, lifts USFL players minimum salaries to $5,350 per week, $5,300 per week.
It's not bad.
How many games do they play?
I want to say maybe 8 or 10.
I mean, for a couple months out of your life, I would do it. XFL is $5,000 per week before incentives and postseason bonuses. So,
yeah,
that's again, and that's a minimum. So, if your goal, especially coming out of college, if your goal is to play in the NFL, if you think you just didn't catch on, if you think you missed an opportunity and it's still out there, your dream is still alive. As far as going to the USFL, you won't be broke. You're not going to be rich, but you will be able to keep that dream going before you have to step out there and use your college education and do something else in life.
I'm not making $50K to work for 10 weeks.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, these guys are going to go out there, work for 10 weeks and make $50K.
And they're probably getting their food paid for. They're getting stipends. Their travel's paid for. So for those 10 weeks, they're pocketing that money.
So, it's not terrible and good for them. But again, it's got to feel good. I think the difficulty, if you're the USFL, has got to be like, all right, who do we gamble on drafting number 1 overall?
So how is it going to work? Is it kids that know from college that they know they're not even going to bother putting themselves as eligible for the draft?
That's the question. I don't know. But Divots and Pivots wants to know, what am I licking off my fingers? That would be rum. I'm licking rum off my fingers because I'm swirling around this rum with this ice in here. It's actually getting a little watered down. So
rum is his pet name for his friend Rumpelstiltskin. He's just licking off Rumpelstiltskin's residue off his finger.
Like, oh my God, I lost my rum. Rum, Rumpelstiltskin. It's Bacardi Gran Reserva Especial. That's what I'm drinking. 16-year-old rum. That's what I'm licking off my fingers. I'm doing this. I'm doing one of these, Andrew. Doing one of these.
You said that so ethnically. Are you brown? Like, my eyes are bad, but is that the case, Nick?
Hiding under his desk. No, usually I keep my bottles up here, but I got like 3 bottles of scotch on top of the desk, so I have no more space for this. The 3D printer, if you can see, is going right next to me. So I'm like struggling for desk space right now. But that's what I'm drinking. If you have the opportunity, go drink some rum. Don't drink fucking any rum that has a twist off top. It has to have a cork. That's a sipping rum. It's great. Delicious.
Are you 3D printing yourself a glass to drink rum out of?
No. No. One of the things that you do when you 3D print stuff, the first things that you do is you 3D print things that you need for 3D printing. So I'm 3D printing a spool holder, like a reel holder, so that I can hang my reels. They don't sit on the floor all over the place like an animal.
All I know is if Divots and Pivots are hanging out, maybe we should get these guys in here because I do want to touch on Live Golf, a couple of announcements that happened. Being allowed to play in the Ryder Cup. Love to hear their reaction on that.
So, Andrew, hit us up on slide into our DMs if you want to pop on for a few minutes to have a conversation about this. Let's holler at us, dog. But moving forward, talking about USFL.
Are we still on this?
We're done with that. We're on to the NFL. Aaron Rodgers comes out of the dark today. And now we're just waiting at this point about where he wants to be.
So it's funny. While this is going on and everybody's following the situation, if you're a fan of any team in the Northeast, it's going to affect you because essentially the Jets met with Derek Carr. They had a great conversation. They were photographed having a meeting at a nice restaurant. I think it was out in New Jersey somewhere. And they closed down the restaurant so they can have a nice, quiet, professional meeting over drinks and food and I'm sure steak and all kinds of crazy meat to tantalize and get Derek Carr to want to come here, and it seems like Derek Carr does want to come here. But I've seen a lot of Giants fans upset at what Daniel Jones thinks he deserves, saying, bring Derek Carr into this situation. If the Jets are going to sit there and wait for Aaron Rodgers, let's just swipe Derek Carr out. He wants to be in New York. Let's bring him to Big Blue instead of Gang Green.
That I think for New York, that is the best case scenario for New York. If the Jets got Aaron Rodgers and the Giants got Derek Carr, that's the best case scenario. I'm sorry, Daniel Jones thinking that he deserves big money, anything over like $20 million a year is he's not good.
The problem is
he is not good.
The problem is the market is absolutely inflated with quarterbacks that were supposed to be top 10 that are not top 10 getting upwards of $40 million a season. And while those contracts are absolute fleece jobs for the quarterback and the teams got screwed, it's put this number out there in the market that if you're, at least I would say top 20 in the league as a starting quarterback, you're making $35 million. And I think that's the crazy part. And I can see it from both sides. Daniel Jones, of course, thinks he's worth $35 million if he's going to start for this team, if the Giants offer him 3, 4, 5 years.
He wants $45 million. He wants Patrick Mahomes money.
Listen, you always throw out a big number and you let them come down. You don't say, hey, I'm worth $35 million and then I'll settle for 32 or 30.
If he would have said I'm worth $30 million, they probably still wouldn't have paid it. And that was still too much for his ass. Listen, I'm a firm believer in 50 feet of crap. Okay. And what I mean by 50 feet of crap is if you look at Joe Namath's statistics for his career, they are not good. And a lot of people will sit there and say, well, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. And I understand the sentiment, because if you look at his overall statistics, especially his completion percentage and quarterback rating, things like that, which are modern statistics, and not completion percentage, but quarterback rating. If you look at them, they're not that great. But for about 4 years, he was the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 best quarterback in the NFL. And then there was 50 feet of crap, and then there was the rest of the league. It wasn't even a conversation. And if you could be the best in your position for 4 years, you belong in the Hall of Fame. Because there's very few people that are the best at what they do for 4 years. I'll tell you this right now. If you're a baseball fan, Derek Jeter was never the best shortstop in baseball, ever. There was always somebody who was number 1 and he was number 2. He was number 2 for 20 years, and that's very impressive. But never was he number 1. And if I listed the guys that were number 1 at a certain time, you'd be like, what? Yeah, I'm telling you, Miguel Tejada was number 1 shortstop in baseball for a year or two.
Nomar Garciaparra.
Oh, Nomar. A-Rod, obviously, was number 1 shortstop in baseball. So I'm a firm believer in 50 feet of crap. And in the NFL right now, you've got like top 10 quarterbacks, 50 feet of crap, and then it starts at 20 because the guys in the middle, they flip-flop between being number 12 and being number 32. Easy. Very easy. Because I've seen top 15, top 20 quarterbacks, and they list somebody like Justin fucking Fields, who can't play quarterback. He runs the ball great, but they at one point this season, somebody had him listed as the number 13 best quarterback in the league. That is just an absolute, just slapping the position in the face, where you're just like, wow, we have so many quarterbacks in this league that suck. That, yeah, you're number 13, but like you're number 13 because number 11 is like, or number 10 is 2 billion light years ahead of you, and number 32 is just under you. But he's under you, and therefore you're ahead of him. But you're nowhere near top 10. You're 13 because the disparity between 10 and 11 is fucking gigantic. It's 50 football fields of difference.
Yeah.
So Daniel Jones sitting there going, oh, well, Daniel Jones is easily top 15. Yeah, but number 11, 12, 13, and 14 suck dick too. Like, what's the point? Like,
I think the problem is more that is the influence of Dable and what he brought to this team this year, and that influx, what gave Daniel Jones the equipment to actually win and not, I mean, what we saw from Daniel Jones in the past, 3 years, it hasn't been good. He was off this team going into this year. Like, it was literally, we're going to ride out this last year, and he's hit the bricks. See you later, kid. Good luck. You know what I mean? He was getting the Geno Smith treatment. And then he put something together, and the Giants put something together, but I think that the winning was a complete team effort. I think that it was Saquon Barkley coming out and just mowing people down and running for 150 yards a game almost.
A lot of luck.
A lot of luck. I think it was Dable's ability to, get his team pumped up and arise to the occasion. So I think Daniel Jones was a benefactor in the situation and not the impact player. Yeah, exactly. That created the situation. So I think that
I'm okay with having a game manager. I absolutely am. But even in that sense, I don't feel like he was a game manager. I feel like he was the beneficiary of a lot of luck. And I told Rook during the season that the Giants did not have sustainable luck. They had no reason to be winning the games that they won. They just weren't that good. If you look at their team from top to bottom, the talent level just wasn't as impressive as their record showed. The record was, and when they got to the playoffs, that was evident. They won that one game, and then they got blown out of the water. Again, top 10 looked great. Everybody else is absolutely shit.
Well, I mean,
you made it, but did you?
It's the statistics is the most telling thing, is the fact that Daniel Jones, and everybody's like, well, Daniel Jones didn't have the interceptions that he had in years past. He didn't throw the ball as much as he threw the ball in years past. So, I mean, statistics works one way. It's averages and numbers, and you can't skew it. They don't lie. So if you throw the ball half the amount of time or less, you're clearly going to have less interceptions. It's not a hard thing to understand.
You're going to be upset, but
oh my God.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to shit on Daniel Jones for too long, but he's not good. I'm sorry. If you're hiring Daniel Jones to be your quarterback as a starter, then you're basically mailing in next season. You're not trying to win next season.
It's not that he's not good.
I'm saying is it's not a full on attempt. It's like when you go to the gym and you lift the same weights every day. You're not trying to get stronger. I guess you're trying to maintain, because he's not going to be the reason you win or lose. He's not going to be the reason you win a football game. He might be the reason you lose, but he damn sure won't be the reason you win.
Second goal this season, fucking Zadina, and the Rangers are down 2-1. Why does every scrub score against us? And you know what? It was a good shot. I don't even want to say it was a weak goal. Halak was in good position. It literally squeaked underneath the elbow of the glove hand and hit inside the post, far side. I mean, it was a good shot. You can't fault them. The guy was still late in the zone. The Rangers couldn't clear it out. It's on them. It's Zibanejad again right in front of him. He can't make a play. Zibanejad's -2 tonight. It's annoying.
Talking about good shots, we're probably going to see a lot of good shots. PGA Live golf season starting. And with that being said, we've got our boy Andrew LeDuc in the house from Divots and Pivots podcast. Welcome to the show, Andrew. It's been a while, man. We haven't seen you in a minute.
It has been a while, but always a pleasure to join you guys. Love talking sports with you guys.
Look at that woodwork behind you. Very nice, sir.
Yeah,
nice.
Likes to blow in the breeze too.
Listen, faux walls is better than no walls.
Listen,
Yes,
I like the belt in the background.
Yeah. That
I always got a lot of
respect there for a while.
A guy that has a belt in his background. I always got a lot of respect for that kind of guy.
You know what? I was shocked when that's what it was that came in the mail. I had no clue that's what it was going to be. So it was a lot of fun.
So getting into the PGA Tour, what do you think about Max Homa coming up a little short to Jon Rahm? And just, I mean, if that wasn't a tournament to watch on Sunday, I don't know what was.
Yeah, look, Max Homa, first of all, Jon Rahm is just unstoppable right now. It's nice that this week he's not in the field, so we actually there's a chance of anybody else winning. But no, Max Homa came up a little short, but I think he showed that he can hang, he can ball with going toe to toe with a guy like Rahm on fire right now. Max Homa has always been a favorite of mine, been a favorite of the Divots and Pivots show. So I loved watching that tournament all weekend. It was fantastic.
It's like fighting two beasts at the same time. You're fighting Jon Rahm, who is lights out, and he did give him a little bit. He gave him an inch. But then you're fighting Riviera with, I mean, the stimp meter had to be reading at like 15 the way the balls were rolling. It was insane. Dude, the people watching guys trying to just find that perfect spot to lay up short on par threes, but get it to bounce on the green because you know it's just going to release 15, 20 feet.
Yes. Oh, the precision these guys had to have. You can't sell short the work the caddies had to have done to find the exact spots in the green in their research to know which way the ball's going to go. Obviously the skill to be able to control your club the way that these guys do it. It was Riviera always shows up to really put the best against the best and really show us what pro golfers can do. So once again, just another reason it was just a blast to watch this weekend.
Well, that, and to add one more reason to watch, I mean, Tiger Woods being in the field, making a cut, and anytime Tiger Woods shows up anywhere, it's a spectacle.
Yeah, we got him for 4 days. He look. Everyone's like, oh, he's limping. He's looking old out there. I think he was kind of limping on purpose, not for show, but I think that's how he got through. I think he was limping to balance his weight, control his weight as he moved around the course. Because if you notice, he was always limping when it came to like slight declines or inclines when he was moving around. So I think it was very purposeful the way he walked, because he knew if he was going to make it through all 4 days, which, as we saw by the time that fourth round came around, we saw him falter finally a little bit. But to see him playing great golf again, because he had two really good rounds, one bad round and then one regular round, but we haven't seen that out of Tiger in so long.
For a guy that hasn't played since the Open to make the cut and beat half the players that didn't almost lose a leg in the past 3 years, I mean, is a statement in itself. We know Tiger's, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, arguably, to ever pick up a golf club. But just having him in the mix, the only thing that was the downside, he got asked the question, are we going to see again this year? And he essentially said exactly what we all thought. He's showing up to the majors, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much everyone was hoping he'd be at the Players. It doesn't seem that's going to be the case. I think at least for this year, I think he's just kind of playing it by ear to see how he feels after each time he plays one of these. And now that once April comes around, the way they schedule these majors now, we get one once a month. Right. So he's got to kind of really play that. If he's going to play all 4 majors, he really needs to balance out what's it going to take to recover, because he's going to have to turn around pretty quick.
So 2 things. One, I limp when I go up hills too. There's no problem with that in the world. All right? You're doing just fine, Tiger. And I don't know if we talked about it last week, but I want to hear Andrew's thoughts on it regardless. The whole thing with Tiger and the tampon situation. What are your thoughts?
To suck it up, put your tears away, find something else to bitch about. It's ridiculous. I don't see, because I don't want to turn around and generalize like the way that people were offended and complained were generalizing, but the hypocrisy in some of these situations is just outrageous. And just come on.
I literally said that if Tiger would have came out and said, how do you know that Justin Thomas wasn't on his period? Are you assuming his gender? Are you saying that men can't menstruate? They wouldn't know what to do. They'd have it would just be quiet in that room. Tiger would just be scratching his ear like, everybody done? Cool. See you later.
I didn't even think about that being like the response. Like if he had responded that way, then because that would have gone right with the way everybody kind of wants to think these days.
Nobody wants to admit that, people that play sports and interact with each other are more than familiar, especially Tiger and Justin. They're boys. They go to each other's houses. Justin literally hangs out in Tiger's house and plays with his son. Practically grew up together with his son. There's only like a 9-year age difference.
Well, and Charlie Woods is bagging on him too. So let's not forget that. Like it happens.
Listen, and it's not even just like, I want to sit here and generalize and be like, listen, that's how guys goof around. It's not. That's how girls goof around too. Exactly. When you're familiar with people, you throw shade and you say crazy shit that might not be considered PC in today's world, but everybody knows it's a joke. It's nothing to be taken serious. And it's like the stuff that was coming out that like Tiger's misogynistic. It's like,
I know.
I mean, if we're going to focus on misogyny, let's not worry about the 20-something broads he banged when he was married and the Denny's waitress.
And that's what people were using as an excuse to bring back up again, which drove me nuts too. Because, like, come on, how many years?
Right, the past and the past.
Go here,
dude. It's hilarious. It just goes to show that if you're in any sort of situation where you're making money in the public eye, they want to cancel you. And it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. You see people getting canceled, and they were the people the week before pushing for somebody else to get canceled. I like to live in a world where I am uncancelable. We have an LLC, me and Nick, so if you want to sue us, you can have all $37 that's in that account.
Hey, I'm coming for you.
That's it. You got to fight tooth and nail to get that $37. But let's and if you don't know anything about golf or you just caught on, you're new, Tiger Woods, when he came on the scene, was a very young man, and he gave a couple candid interviews when he was young, and he got burned. I forget the article that came out. I want to say it was Sports Illustrated. They kind of painted Tiger Woods because he said a very un-PC joke, and golf at that time especially was very tight in the pants, tight in the shirt. You know what I mean? Tucking your socks into your pants, all that crap. the stodgy old men, and it didn't go over well, and he was very reserved. The only time Tiger played around with the media up until his resurgence of late was David Feherty. He would goof around with David Feherty, and that's it, because he was comfortable with him, and he knew Feherty wasn't going to throw him in the bus.
Yeah, and look, and I mean, to be fair, Feherty's taken his fair share of people bitching about him too, because he's the same way, where he has fun with, he's real.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. People have a hard time admitting that people are just being real, because they don't want to admit that that's how they act too. Sometimes,
of course,
doesn't mean that's who you. Doesn't mean Tiger's walking around 24/7 making jokes like that. Because that would get stale, that would get old, and that would probably reach a point where maybe he has some underlying feelings here that are not so cool. But it's just everyone's afraid to look in the mirror and see themselves, so they smash it and they try to break everyone else's mirror to make themselves feel better.
Listen, if you think what Tiger said was uncouth or uncalled for, put a camera at any Muni course for 24 hours and listen to the shit that gets picked up, because I've threatened to murder a lot of people, including some politicians and even possibly the Pope when I miss a putt. So there's things said on the golf course that doesn't count. It's not real life. You can't quote somebody on it.
They're going, who raised this man?
But
love it.
We digress. So we found out some good news. We kind of knew that the live golfers were going to be allowed to play in the majors as long as they kept their points up. It seemed that the DP World Tour, formerly the European Tour, was going to keep them and allow them to play. A couple of the players have, played in a couple tournaments in the DP World Tour just to keep their, world status up and pretty much be allowed to play in these majors. But the news that they're going to be eligible for the Ryder Cup, I think, is huge and amazing, because I think last year having that team format fall short with the the Presidents was boring.
Yeah. So first off, when did that drop? Because I'm wondering if you're confusing. Because I saw that the live players are going to be allowed to play in the PGA Championship. I didn't see the Ryder Cup though.
I saw it today. Somebody announced that they are eligible. They are, as of now, eligible.
Picked, but...
Right. They are. So, again, it's going to be based on if you're not playing in the DP World Tour, you're not getting the points ranking, so it's going to be up to the captain pick. And I'm sure whoever the captain is going to have the PGA Tour in their ear saying, really? That guy from Live? Okay.
Yeah, no, I that makes sense then. That if that's the way it's going to shake out, then and I feel like it's one of those where we know this isn't going to happen, so we're going to go ahead and save face and say that we're allowing them to play, or that they're eligible to play, knowing that they're not going to.
Yeah, I think them not being eligible is crazy. I think you want to have whatever kind of beef you're going to have. It's two rival tours. It's expected. It's fine. Everybody thought Liv wasn't going to make it for the first year, and here they are in their second year. They have their problems, sure. They just got a TV deal that alleviates some of their problems for sure. So I think, is it the golf we're used to with the PGA Tour? No. I mean, it's exhibition golf. Is it fun? Sure. Because guess what? I like seeing quality play, and you're getting out of the top 50, about 15 players from the top 50 from the PGA Tour went over to Live.
Yeah. So when they were in the top 50 at the time that they went over, sure, yeah.
Right. Cam Smith was top 5, top 3 at the point when he went over.
From CBS Sports, the R&A will not exclude Live Golf members from competing in the 151st Open later this summer at Royal Liverpool Golf Club. So they'll be able.
I saw that as well earlier. Yeah, yep. So it looks like all majors are going to be on the table for these guys, as long as they get their exemptions, qualify, whatever they need to do to get in.
Do you know what we're dealing with right now is the exact opposite of what happened in baseball and football and basketball when they were two leagues. Yeah. And you always wanted to watch the two leagues play each other, but they were like, no, fuck those guys. We're in a different league. We don't play those guys. We're better than those guys, because that's what you had in baseball with the NL being older than the AL. That's what you had in football with the NFL being older than the AFL. And then you get a little bit of steam with the junior circuit, if you will. And all of a sudden, okay, why don't you come over and play us? And you know what? Maybe one day we'll get to a point where Live Golf and PGA have a tourney to see who the champion of champions is. And I think that's what PGA is afraid of.
There's a shit ton of money to be made there, and I think they're going to try to avoid that at all costs right now. But I think the PGA has to take a second look at what they did. They essentially blackballed everybody from Live, and they thought it was going to go away. They tried this campaign of look where the money's coming from, forgetting that, most normal people know exactly where Nike makes their shoes and their golf, attire and what atrocities go on in those sweatshops. So I think it blew up in their face. I think a lot of the players coming out and essentially saying, listen, I can spend more time with my family at this point and make the same amount of money and not have to stress out about how I'm paying bills if I don't win. So you can't fault me for taking the guaranteed paycheck and having fun only playing about 10 weeks out of the year.
So I get the reasoning of why the majority of these guys went over 100%. And that's one thing. If you watch Full Swing, you get to see some of those guys before as they were filming was when they were making the decision basically. And they kept in the filming kind of tight-lipped on what they were going to do. Obviously at this point we knew what they did, but we got to hear some of their reasonings afterwards. And there was nothing. I thought Dustin Johnson was very genuine in his. I have no issue with Dustin Johnson after watching Full Swing, because I thought he came across as just very genuine and honest, and I got his perspective and his position on it. So it made sense to me. Like,
listen,
which
you can't
kind
offer
of surprised me, because he came out just yesterday at the Live press conference saying that he hasn't and he has no interest in watching the Full Swing documentary. I'm like, well, I wonder why, because you came off honestly pretty good in it.
Yeah. So no, I mean, listen, in the sense of Dustin Johnson, in the sense of Phil Mickelson, like, it's two different things. The same thing with Ian Poulter. You have guys that are at the end of their career and getting guaranteed money. Why wouldn't you take it? Because the chance of you actually hitting on a $2 million, $3 million major purse is slim to none at that point in your career. It's guaranteed money. You get to spend more time with your family. You're up there in age. And then, obviously Phil Mickelson, they want to say, oh, he left his legacy behind. Does he really care? The amount of money that he supposedly got, and they never, we don't know exactly what it is, but I've heard crazy numbers between $200 and $300 million, just a paycheck for him to sign with Live. Anybody that's willing to turn that down, dude, you could take my left foot right now. You could do it with a butter knife. I'll just sit here. I'll bite on a piece of wood. And when it's all said and done, I'll have $300 million to spend, and we'll see how dumb I look then. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Talk about money. This coming from Big Tom Doyle. Live Golf has added its first official sponsor ahead of this week's season opening event in Mexico. The Saudi-backed circuit announced that EasyPost, a logistical and commerce company, will be the league's global partner. EasyPost already had presence in Live Golf, as the firm is a sponsor of Patrick Reed. Thank you, Big Tom. We appreciate that. So they're
They also added a tequila company sponsors them now as well.
They did kind of tease that with this first tournament they were going to be announcing their first major sponsor. I'm not surprised at all that it's some sort of like e-commerce or financial kind of service company. So have I heard of them before? No. Maybe I'm just not business savvy enough to know.
Listen, I mean, I've heard of NetJets, but I've never seen one, especially not the inside of one.
I never heard of waste management either. Like, I don't deal with that crap. I heard of the New York City Department of Sanitation, but I've never heard of fucking waste management. I don't deal with that shit. But they got a whole tour for themselves.
No, now it's the WM, because apparently they don't want to be known as waste management, which is crazy. But
managing waste.
It's like, dude, embrace what you do. You pick up garbage and you put on an amazing tournament.
I know we could be calling you something that we could be saying, your dirty shit management, because I mean that you're picking up trash.
I'm fairly certain that that waste management put a whole lot of mafiosos out of business, and they should be proud of that.
Yeah, that's true. But getting back to the PGA Tour, I mean, we got the gauntlet run right now of just amazing tournament after amazing tournament. I think this is the best time of year for golf. Like, I love when it's the Ryder Cup. And obviously, all the majors are what you look forward to. But I think the lead up to the Masters is the greatest part of the year. You have, we just had, Riviera, amazing. Now you get the Honda. Then you're going to have Arnold Palmer, the Players, right up to the Masters. I don't think it's beatable.
It's fantastic. And, and this week at the Honda, you get the PGA Championship course. You get the Bear Trap. It's, there's so many, like you said, this is just a great run. And then, like I said, even after the Masters, there might be a tournament here or there mixed in that is a quote unquote off tournament, but we get majors taking us right through the summer, leading right up to the FedEx Cup playoffs. Like, from here on out, it's like you said, it's guns blazing. We're here to watch and play golf. and it's that
Dude,
time of year, boys. I love it.
I am fired up, and it's not just because in May I get to go play St. Andrews Old Course, which I am ecstatic about. I hate flying, and I'm literally taking a 7.5-hour flight with my brother and my 2 cousins because we won, a tee time. Because I don't know if you know how it works. You have to literally put in a bidding thing, like a lottery to get a tee time, and they picked us, and it was like, hey, I guess I'm jumping on a 7.5-hour flight to go there and fly back 3.5 days later.
That's something you don't turn.
He's going to go to Hogwarts for me, too.
We're going to walk around Edinburgh. We're going to hang out where J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter stories and all that stuff in downtown area. Then we're going to definitely do a proper fish and chips and then hang out just around St. Andrews. We get to play Old Course, and we're playing Jubilee. So,
nice.
Oh, yeah. So right now, all I'm thinking about is hoping that I get the coolest caddy that's okay with me freaking out and missing shots.
Hold on. Andrew, are you named after St. Andrews?
No.
Oh.
God, no. I don't even know who I'm named. I don't know.
So
my name wasn't even supposed to be Andrew. Literally, my parents had decided on the name. I was supposed to be Justin. I'm born. They're whatever. They bring me back into the room. Hand me to my mother, and another nurse comes in and goes, oh, we got a name, put down his name, fill his paperwork. What's his name? My dad starts to say Ja, and my mom goes, Andrew. And he goes, well, it's Andrew now. He had no clue. It was never on the table.
Boom.
Thought you were going to
drop the hammer.
I legitimately thought I was going to get an Andy Bernard story where it was like, yeah, originally my name was Justin, but then I had a little brother and I was named after my dad, but he felt my brother had better exemplified him. So they took my name and gave it to my brother, and now I'm Andrew.
Listen, all I know is at least we know Andrew's father's a genius because he sat there, shut his mouth, and you don't argue with a woman that just gave birth.
Yeah, no. Sure. I'll have an Andrew.
She could have called you something ridiculous like shit socks, and he'd have been like, all right.
Yep, sure. We'll come up with a nickname for that.
My grandfather's a genius. Because he made sure the doctors gave my grandma enough drugs that she passed out when they asked him what the baby's name was. She was out cold. So he named my uncle.
Nice.
And my uncle's name is Mickey, after Mickey Mantle. He's a Mets fan.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, what a fail.
He definitely had a plan then.
Jesus. How do you go through life as a Met fan named Mickey? Oh my God! Did he name his kid the Babe?
My grandma woke up all pissed off and shit, and my grandfather was like, "Yo, you named him that," and she was like, "No, I didn't." She said, "My father's name is Nicky, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So my grandfather came up with an awesome story that he was like, "They asked you what the baby's name is. You thought they meant Nicky, so you said Nicky, and they heard Mickey, so they wrote Mickey." My grandfather had a lie. He had a plan and a lie to go along with the plan. The guy was a genius.
That's fair. That's
Once
fair.
they print that shit on the Social Security card, you're done. It ain't coming back.
Locked in.
Yeah.
So Andrew, what do you guys got going on at Divots and Pivots? Anything you want to plug right now?
Yeah, we had our Tuesday night show. Thursday, so 2 nights ago,
yeah.
on 8:00 every Tuesday. We just switched over to hosting our live show on the Fantasy Sports Corporation YouTube channel. So you can see all of our past videos still on the Divots and Pivots YouTube channel. But every Tuesday at 8:00, we'll be over on Fantasy Sports Corporation as one of their 2 golf shows every Tuesday, 8 and 9 o'clock. We go back to back. So check us out there every Tuesday at 8.
Nice. A little animosity between the 2 shows, maybe? You gonna stir up some drama?
I don't know. We haven't really talked yet. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Me and Bud, we talk DFS golf, but we also just talk like golf stories, life stories, and kind of mix it all in. And then the guys who come in after us, they go hardcore into your betting, your sports betting, picking the winners, picking the top 10s, top 5s, whatever, the head-to-head. So
you're the relaxed part of it.
Yeah,
and then it goes straight degenerate.
Yeah, we tee it up for them. And they bring everyone down to win some money.
I think before you start going head hunting, you just got to find out their handicaps and make sure you 2 can take them.
Yeah, we gotta play it smart.
Yeah, play it smart.
As long as I got Bud playing with me, we'll take anybody. I ain't taking anybody, but Bud will take him, and I'll just stand behind him.
What is Bud's down to like a 5 or something like that, right?
Well, he told me at the end of last season. Yeah, something. I think his index was like 4.2, 4.6. So yeah, somewhere kind of right around there. Yeah, he's good. There's a lot.
That's amazing.
TJ, we played around on Monday, So I'm at like a plus 54 or something like that.
I don't think they go that high.
Yeah, no, they don't go that high. I'm stuck.
4.
I'm stuck right around a 15 handicap. I shot a 94 this week when we played. So,
Nice.
I mean, considering I shot a 107 the week before because I put every drive into the woods and I couldn't figure it out. I figured it out a little bit this week. Literally rimmed out about 8 putts.
I'm down.
No joke, about 8 putts just off the lip.
48.7.
48.7.
That's your actual index.
It was 3. It maxes out at 53. I'm at a 48.7. Can I get a high five? Somebody. There we go.
It's funny. You know what? I need you. I should have picked you as my my partner. Me and my cousin we managed to get into the Barstool Classic this year. We're playing out in Long Island at their Long Island spot. And they do half handicap. So my 15 equates to pretty much picking up maybe 7 strokes max out there. And my cousins, I think, had 16, 17 handicap. I should have brought Nick down there with his 48.
Yeah.
We would have been gold.
We would have got 3 shots in every hole.
And I would
could have got a hole in one like 3 times.
Seriously, dude, if we would have locked him in at a 48 handicap, I'd be like, Nick, can you hit your 7-iron 150 yards? Because if you can, and you could 2-putt every hole, we're getting eagle and moving on, baby, every hole.
Yeah, I'm usually right between that right around that 13, 15 as well. Same with you, TJ. So we'd probably shoot about the same.
Yeah, dude, I don't break 90 enough as I should, but I've had a couple rounds where I'm down low, 83, 84, and then I'll follow it up with a 97. So there's no consistency there.
Not at all. That's how I am.
Oh. But anyway, brother, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate it. Check out Divots and Pivots and Andrew over there with Bud. They put on a great show. And then obviously the if you're a degenerate, follow the betting right after them.
Yeah. Well, we'll have some live shows coming out this for the majors, so keep an ear out for those.
Oh, hell yeah.
We'll have some live shows at a local place, playing some live golf, and have some guests and hopefully some interaction. And right behind us, jarring us. So keep an eye out for those for each of the majors this year.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much for joining us, man. Have a good night.
All right. Later, guys.
Take it easy, bro.
All right.
That was Divots and Pivots. Catch them Tuesdays at 8 o'clock.
Dude, I could talk golf all night. Like I understand it's like it's people's bane of their existence. I mean, I think golf is one of those things. You want to get into golf and you know nothing about golf. It's like smooth jazz. If you're kind of like a little tired and you're stressed out and you throw on some smooth jazz and you drift off and take a nice nap on the couch, golf will do the same thing to you. You know what I mean? You listen to Frank Nobilo talk about the wind conditions and the approach on the 13th green and how the greens are running. It puts you right off to sleep. I mean, and then Colt Knost brings you right back and wakes you right back up with his craziness. So gotta love it.
I'm trying to think that I call into this thing free teleconference hold music, and it see if I can find it. No, that ain't it. Hold on, I gotta find the one that's like smooth jazz. There it is.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know why.
Yeah, now your mic's going in and out. It's messing up your audio.
Bummer. All right, but one day, and it's awesome. Let's see if I can pull it up on my phone. But it's smooth jazz. Whenever I'm on hold, I'm about to go on a teleconference, then immediately I start thinking of that music.
Kenny G.
In my head, a chicken is singing.
You're listening to the smooth sounds of the rain.
Sounds like you just called into a porno. Whenever I hear that music in my head, a chicken is singing it, and all I hear is
Listen, dude, I love listening to smooth jazz and taking a nap. Crack the windows open on a nice spring day, smooth jazz on.
All right,
when I mean take a nap, I mean pass out because I had 7 beers.
2 things happening right now. Rangers game as we roll right into hockey. They've got a ladder on the ice, fairly certain. They're taking this game, they're turning it into a ladder match. Awesome. All right.
No, I believe all the rumors are not true. The Rangers are not making a move for Patrick Kane. We have just made a move for the Harlem Globetrotters. The Harlem Globetrotters, folks. We have ladders on the ice. Oh, and
They're removing the boards. This is awesome.
Meadowlark is out there.
The glass is coming down. I think somebody broke the boards, is what it came down. Somebody broke the glass. So they're
I think
replacing
that's the first time I ever seen them have to replace the curved part of the glass.
mid-game, right? At the same time as they're showing this, right? A little kid was wearing a Chiefs jersey or a Chiefs shirt.
No, that father should be proud. Or mother. I don't want to generalize. Either way, the parents should be proud of that child.
From
Smart
classic
kid.
movie Slapshot for you hockey fans out there.
Gerard Gallant, 9 Gordie Howe hat tricks, all with the Red Wings. Fun fact, he's tied most in Red Wings history with Brendan Shanahan. How many Gordie Howe hat tricks did Gordie Howe have, Nick?
1.
Correct, just 1.
A Gordie Howe hat trick, for those who don't know, a Gordie Howe hat trick is a goal, an assist, and a fight. Which I don't understand why it's attributed to Gordie Howe. He only ever had one in his career.
I mean, I think it's funny because in the MLB, if somebody has the ability to hit the cycle, and especially if they get like the triple, the double, and the home run out of the way, you're like, he's got to stop it first, right? Like he's not going to dig it out. He has to stop it first. He has to hit for the cycle. And it's one of those things that really doesn't mean much. It's just like a stat. But I think if you have a goal and an assist, the only asshole out there would be somebody like me that's like, I'm going to pick a fight right now because I need to get this Gordie Howe hat trick.
Feel good about myself. Big Tom says the glass broke on the bottom. The Hanson brothers rule.
In fact, the Hanson brothers, a little choked up here, do rule. So,
Hanson brothers, for those who don't know, are a reference to the movie Slapshot, which we actually reviewed. If you're looking for it, look for the movie addict, and you'll catch that review of Slapshot, classic hockey movie pre-Mighty Ducks. So,
oh yeah.
If you're watching it and you're like, this isn't that funny, you have to watch it through 70s eyes, where like things were actually risque and we didn't just put like crazy shit on movies. You actually had to like use your brain a little bit, and then like things weren't as dirty as they are now, where like people walk around with their tits out and whatnot like that, and their balls out, and they're just like, that's art. So kind of got to look through it through 70s eyes.
Well, since we're on the NHL, should we jump right into Rangers talk and possible trades coming down to the wire?
But we just heard that the New York Rangers traded for, who'd you say? We traded for the Hanson brothers or something like that?
The Harlem Globetrotters.
Harlem Globetrotters. That's a package with Kravtsov,
Zach Jones,
Lesishin.
Oh my goodness! Well, how do you say his name again?
I want to say
Lesation, right?
Lesation, yeah.
Lesation.
No,
Lecision.
Lasician.
Lecision.
No, Lasician.
Anyway, so Lasician.
It's a soft J. Lanolin.
Like sheep's wool. My father just texted me that my wife is a lesbian. I don't know where this is coming from. Breaking news. Apparently, hot take from Papa Doyle. My wife is a lesbian.
I saw that. I didn't say anything, but I saw that, and I was like,
I mean, listen, it's on the prompter. I have to read it, right?
Yes.
I think I was just, handed the Tampax on the golf course of my life in this situation. But anyway, we did put out a poll today because there's a lot of action going on. Earlier in the year, right around the All-Star break, when this Patrick Kane nonsense really popped off, you had a lot of people saying that they had no problem giving up somebody like Lafreniere for Patrick Kane, and I thought that was absolutely insane. I understand that Lafreniere hasn't produced the way we want him to. We also have to remember that he's 21 years old, and I would never give up somebody that has an actual future versus a rental for all of not even 30 games. plus playoffs. I didn't think it was worth it, but we did do a couple situations where just kind of what would you be willing to give up if the Rangers got Patrick Kane? So the 3 picks we put out there on our poll was Kravtsov, a pick, figure first or second round pick, and then you have to dump Lesation for money reasons. Lesation, whatever his name is.
Lesation.
So that had 66% of the vote. I think we can all agree that everybody's okay with it to move Kravtsov. He doesn't want to be here. It's no skin off our back. First round pick. See you later. I wish him luck. For somebody of Patrick Kane's caliber, somebody that had potential. I don't know if he has anything left in the tank, but obviously Kravtsov doesn't want to be here, so he's going to have more in the tank than Kratz. So see you later. The second choice was Kravtsov, Zach Jones, who is a minor leaguer, a pretty damn good prospect in my eyes, and some money moves to make it. That had 26% of the votes. And then the third choice was Lafreniere and money moves, and that had 8% of the votes. And all I can think is apparently 8% of the people that are on Rangers Twitter smoke crack. It's a high number.
Who's the guy you always talk about? Who's the guy you always talk about that we ended up picking up later? I always forget. All these Russian people have the same name as far as I'm concerned.
Who, Tarasenko? The last trade we just picked up?
No, early 2000s. A guy who's on the Rangers that we let go because he wasn't on fire the day we got him. And then we ended up picking him back for more money years later. He went to the Penguins, I want to say. He's Russian. You always use this guy as an example. Early 2000s.
No, if you're talking about the person I always use is Kovalov, and that's 90s.
Kovalov. I was going to say Kovalov. Yeah, but no, I'm saying he came back in the early 2000s.
Right, yeah. So we let Kovalov go, and he became a fucking stud and scoring 30 goals a season, and then we bring him back.
Sign him again. We let him go. We let him walk away, which is even worse, if you ask me.
Yeah, listen. I mean, we've made some moves. Last year, the biggest salt in the wound was when they're talking about bringing back JT Miller, another person. I wasn't a John Tortorella fan, and all these people that want to insist that John Tortorella wasn't the problem with the Rangers. Yeah, well, ask all the kids that he ruined because he insisted that JT Miller would never play in the NHL and he's not worth starting, and he benched him constantly. And look at him now. Pretty damn good NHL player, if you ask me. And everywhere John Tortorella has turned to shit. So you have every right to your opinion. John Tortorella is a bum, and that's my opinion. End of story. Having people like Ryan Callahan, the captain of the team, blocking shots, because that's more important. Breaking your foot quarter of the way into the season and missing 40-something games. Yep, block those shots. We don't need you scoring 30 goals.
So let's talk about people who suck, all right? Or talking about people who suck. And I'm not saying this person sucks, but a lot of people are. Shesty's been struggling the last couple of games. Talk to me about that.
You would think that the sky is falling, that World War III kicked off, and Igor Shesterkin is leading the Red Army, onto the garden ice. It's insane. Listen, the guy he's definitely not the player he was last year. And I think thinking that you can expect that from any player every season is just ridiculous. He was on fire last year. He was a stud last year. And he's still a stud this year. It's just he doesn't have that upper echelon, unstoppable. He's the number one goalie in the league going for him right now. But he's still probably top 6, I would say.
Top 5.
I'm saying, even with the struggles of the last couple of games, the Rangers have gotten behind early. It's not really on Igor. You can't expect him to make every save. He's going to let a couple squeak by. And
it hasn't been as tight as you need it to be.
They definitely haven't been as tight because they're starting every game behind. And that's the problem in itself. They're not getting on the board first. And the Rangers, when they were on the 6-game win streak a couple games ago, they had 31 goals. Because why? Right now in the NHL, you have to just outscore the other team, especially if you want to push for the cup. The Avalanche last year didn't worry about stopping pucks. They worried about putting more pucks in the back of the other net than their team did to your team. So, I mean, the Rangers were able to do it, and Igor was playing fine and stopping enough to get us wins. He wasn't, shut out left and right or one goal and it was a bullshit goal or just a rifle shot that went in, and he's making 48 saves and letting one in, and his save percentage is, .965. He's not having that year this year, but he's still a top goalie. He's still doing what we need him to do. He's going to bounce back. Everybody needs to pump the brakes a little bit and relax, because the way people were talking on Twitter, it's like he's on the ledge and they want to give him the extra push. You know what I mean? He's Ted from Scrubs, and he's not willing to really take the step. And they're up there on the roof scaring him off.
I love the reference. Oh, rest in peace, Sam Lloyd. He passed away last year from cancer. Actually, the nephew of Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown. And now that I said that, you're picturing it in your head. You're like, oh shit, they do kind of look
that
like
that literally just synced up. So like,
Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Christopher Lloyd. When I met Christopher Lloyd last year, I offered my condolences.
That's insane. I never put that together. And now that you said it, it's just like I can't unsee it.
Yeah, I think the reaction to Igor struggling. Listen, Derek Jeter at one point in his career went 0 for 32 or something like that, 0 for 33, and it happens to the best of everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
Every player at some point, I watch the TV show Friday Night Lights. The first season, the starting quarterback gets injured and he's out for the rest of his life because he's paralyzed, right? And the coach gives a speech and he tells the kids, like, at some point we will all fall. And it's true. At some point we will all fall. It's about how you get back up. That's it. Like, if you ever read the book for Game of Thrones, Bran at one point asks Eddard, like, how I'm scared all the time. How can I be brave? And he goes, you're not brave if you're not scared. So, like, you got to kind of have bad things happen to you every so often just to remind the world that you're a human being and that it's not easy.
Well, listen, speaking about bad things happening, my father just clarified that he was referencing Slapshot, that your wife is a lesbian. So I took it as personal because, that is a fear in life that she will fall in love with some beautiful woman. And, how could I blame her? But
is that a fear or is that a dream?
It depends if I'm in the room or if I'm getting locked out of the room and then having to go make a sandwich.
Will I get slapped away? What kind of sandwich would you make?
I'm gonna have to go away from the reference.
Hold on there. Was that a great question or what?
Oh yeah.
Because I saw it in your face. You were like, wow, I don't even know, but that's a great fucking question.
No, I listen, and it leads into the reference, the reference from Friends, obviously. What do you say? Like a little roast beef?
I think he says turkey.
Right, turkey, cheese, little mayo. That sounds great. I think the obvious answer is if I just got kicked out of a room with two beautiful women going at it, I would have to have a roast beef sandwich. My wife is watching this right now, and she's not happy.
What's funny is Ross has 2 sandwiches on that.
Yeah, that and the moist maker.
That sounds like a lesbian.
You threw it away.
The moist maker sounds like a lesbian sandwich.
I think there's some still left in the garbage. The moist makers might be worse. But I digress. So yeah, you have Lasation not playing tonight, and you also whatever.
It's Lasation.
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 No, Lasation.
I feel like it's Lasation.
You say tomato, I say some crazy fucking name with a whole bunch of vowels and a Y in there. Lasation, whatever, not playing tonight.
Lasation.
As well as Kravtsov, labeled as what was it? Roster
maintenance. Yeah.
So I think it's all up to Patrick Kane at this point. The only place he pretty much says he wants to go to is the Rangers. This is the last year of his 8-year contract. They already gave him the big part of it, his contractual obligated. I think they paid him like $7 million of guaranteed money. That was like, not part of his cap hit. And then his cap hit was $3.5 million this year. So the Rangers would have to move some money around. But it seems like if you're going to get anything for it, you might as well take the highest bidder. And if you're going to get Kravtsov out of the deal or get nothing at all at the end of this year, I think they're going to end up going with the move. The shade I threw at Kane earlier this year was in response to anybody saying that you give up anybody for the kid line for him, because that's exactly what Chicago was inquiring about. They wanted somebody from the kid line, either Kakko or Lafreniere, and that was not. And people still wanted to make that move, and I was firm on not a chance. You don't sell out the youth of the team for a rental towards the end. For somebody at the time that conversation was going on, he had 8 goals. I think in the past 12 games, he has 8 goals. He's up to 16 goals and 29 assists. So, listen, he hasn't made an All-Star game since 2018. He's not the player that everybody's making him out to be. You would think that the Rangers are making a move for the second coming of Brett Hull. I made that reference today on Twitter, and people roasted me for it. It's yeah, no, you keep insisting that he's one of the greatest American-born hockey players ever, and Brett Hull is sitting there with only 108 more games played in his career than Patrick Kane and has 295 more goals. That's a career's worth, a good career. It's worth of more goals than Patrick Kane right now. So stop pumping him up and thinking that yeah, we get it. He's American born and he's 4th on the list, but look who's at the top of the list. It's not, that most amazing of a list. You got Brett Hull, you got Mike Modano. Calm down. Patrick Kane isn't that.
Would you put Patrick Kane up there with Jeremy Roenick?
I think Jeremy Roenick, if you ask me right now at the same age, who would I rather take? I'd rather take Jeremy Roenick, because Jeremy Roenick was a more complete player. Jeremy Roenick threw the body. Jeremy Roenick played defense. Jeremy Roenick dropped the gloves. Jeremy Roenick was able to get nasty, pass the puck, and score. He was a total package player. While I would say, if somebody argued with me that does he really fit into today's NHL, you can make a case either way. But, that grit and that tenacity is something that Patrick Kane doesn't have. Patrick Kane is a goal scorer. Patrick Kane is a playmaker. But so was Jeremy Roenick, and a nasty son of a bitch out there that people were 100% afraid of. So yeah, I'm taking Jeremy Roenick.
The question is, so Jeremy Roenick's one of 46 players that have scored 500 goals, but he's not in the NHL Hall of Fame. One of 5 players to score 500 goals, not in the NHL Hall of Fame. Does Patrick Kane make the Hall of Fame?
Ooh, wow. I think Patrick Kane has a lot more assists than Jeremy Roenick, if I'm not mistaken.
He's got more points.
Yeah. So that might be the push over the edge.
Okay.
And would Patrick Kane have 2 cups? So I don't know. I think, wow, that's a sham that my wife just texted me, enjoyed that roast beef sandwich. Oh, sweetheart. This podcast is taking a turn, folks. Didn't take long. The Rangers are losing 3-1.
I want to point out
into the third period, and I'm clearly having a breakdown.
TJ's wife and his son are not in his home right now, and they will not be sleeping.
They're out and about. They're having a good time. They're off this week from school. School's being out. My wife's a teacher, and my son obviously in school. So they're enjoying life right now, and I'm home alone with the dog. And the dog is laying on the couch.
It's taking its first. Your wife's a lesbian. Now you're eating roast beef sandwiches without her, and I'm starting to wonder where she is.
All right, Jesus. It's going to be like one of those weekends where I call you up like, Nick, she's not coming home. You come have a beer with me?
By the way, the Ross's sandwich was turkey, little mustard. Sounds good. It really was.
Oh, there we go.
Which really, if you're making a turkey sandwich, now listen to me when I say this. When I say a turkey sandwich, I don't mean Thanksgiving turkey. I mean thin cut deli turkey.
Yeah.
Mustard is kind of standard, isn't it? Mustard or mayo, one of the two.
I like mayo on a turkey sandwich, but mustard you can't go wrong with.
It didn't sound like much. It was just turkey and little mustard. That's it. That was barely a sandwich.
Yeah, I think turkey is one of those things where you have to class up with a little lettuce, a little tomato.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think you need the accoutrement with a turkey sandwich because turkey's kind of dry.
Turkey is a little dry. You're right. You know what, though? That's why you need the moist maker.
It's true.
That being said, you mentioned Patrick Kane hasn't made a All-Star game in a very, very long time. All-Star game, NBA All-Star game just passed, and everyone hated it. Worst rated All-Star game in I want to say 30 years or so.
So it joined the ranks with the NHL All-Star Game this year.
And the NFL All-Star Game. So the question before we move on to the All-Star Game, real quick, as we talked about Igor Shesterkin, I meant to ask you, one of the former beat reporters for the New York Rangers, whose name escapes me for the moment, Rick Carpiniello, that's his name.
Yeah.
From The Athletic, he said something about Igor failing to take accountability after the game in which he played poorly. What are your thoughts on accountability after a game speaking to the media?
So the only way I'll pose you a question to answer your question, if that's fair.
Okay.
Do you think Rick Carpiniello, or whatever, however you say his name is, would appreciate it is if right after he failed to pleasure his significant other in the bedroom, I walked in and put a camera in his face and said, how does that feel that you weren't able to do what you're supposed to do? And then him give me an answer that is actually relevant or not to exactly what you expect. Because I think having to ask somebody questions after they had a shitty game and them not wanting to come talk to the media because they know they had a shitty game and they're just not in the mood to answer the questions of why didn't you make those saves? What do you think you could have done different? I don't know. Made more fucking saves? Let's be real. Your questions are stupid. That's why nobody watches the post-game interview for fucking sports, because you all ask the dumbest, most redundant bullshit things. Hey, how come you lost the game? We didn't outscore the other team. Oh, it's a joke, dude. Nobody asks the questions that need to be asked. Nobody asks anything of pertinence or relevance. No one's going to sit there and say hey, you had a bad game. What do you do tonight to shake off this bad game? How do you get back out there tomorrow morning for your open ice skate? And all right, we got. My father just sent me a picture of two lesbians in very nice red lingerie about to tenderly kiss on what I can only assume is hotel quality plush sheets. It's bad that I'm looking at the sheets in this picture right now. I'm so trained as a fucking married man to be oh my God, I wonder if those are Egyptian cotton.
Those got to be what is a great third count? That's what those are.
But back to the point, I think that any of the questions that you would have made him face off of, if you ask a bad question, they should be a penalty. Like in a game, if you do something stupid, you get a penalty. So if you ask Igor something stupid, he should be able to walk down and punch you in the head because you just asked him the dumbest question. How do you feel after a loss? Pretty shitty.
I imagine if you had to stop there with Rick Carpiniello and ask him questions after not being able to pleasure his wife, that his answers would probably come up a little limp.
Definitely a little short, I would say.
Yeah, listen. I personally, I don't feel like our reporting in the media in America have a very strong sense of entitlement that you're required to speak to them after either your shortcomings or your exemplary play. Quite frankly, they're not required to talk to you at all. And you should be thanking sweet baby field artillery Jesus that you get the opportunity to cover sports for a living. And me personally, if every player took the mindset of somebody like Marshawn Lynch, I would have no problem with it whatsoever. Actually, I would love it.
What would I?
Greatest thing in the world tomorrow if every athlete was just we're just not going to talk to you people and watch all of your mediums slowly disappear. You won't exist anymore. I get it. Every reporter is so mad that Twitter exists and athletes can go to the people and say exactly what they want. And they don't have to go through the media who are just going to manipulate what they say and twist their words to make it seem like they said something that they didn't, which used to be a problem 30 years ago.
Well, that was the other point I was going to make. It's the fact that the media can twist your words into something that wasn't the case at all because it's taken out of context. And usually, like I said, nobody really watches the after game report. You usually read it secondhand on Twitter or some other social media, or you catch it in some blurb, some blog, some otherwhere, and you don't understand in the nature of how it was said. So if let's say Igor gets asked, listen, how do you shake off a loss like this? What do you do to go on to the next day? And he said something along the lines of honestly, I'm going to go home. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to sit on my couch. I'm going to watch a Disney movie and I'm going to pour myself a scotch. The next thing you know, it's going to be like, all right, guy gets drunk alone by himself watching Disney movies. Does he have a drinking problem? Do we need to step in? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to twist it in a way that it just degrades exactly what you said. When any one of us, if we came home for a bad day at work, it's like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here with my wife, watch a little Netflix and have a glass of wine or pop open Entenmann's box of donuts or cookies and just veg out because I need a little cheering up. I need a little comfort food. It's like, oh, did he fall off the rails? Is he going to be 400 pounds tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, they twist the words. They're their own worst enemy.
Fans don't give a shit about the players talking to the media. We want them to play well. That's all we care about. Igor's accountability only belongs to his teammates and his team, his franchise and his team. Honestly, he's not even accountable to the players. Not to the players, to the fans. He's not.
No.
And some people will sit there and be like, oh, that's not true. The fans pay his bills. You're absolutely right. The fans pay. But guess what? If tomorrow nobody went to Rangers games for the rest of the duration of his contract, the Rangers would still owe him that money.
Yep.
It's that simple. Listen, Igor is one of those guys that, and it's a leadership tactic as far as I'm concerned. I'm under the understanding, based on what I do for a living, that not everybody can be trained the same way. And there are some people that when they don't perform well, they beat themselves up very badly. They don't need anybody to add to it. So at some point in my career, I had a leader that I would perform badly and he would come over and just kick me while I'm down, assuming that I would just get back up and be like, I'll show you. No, I'll be like, yep, you're right. You're right. Because there's nobody who's more critical about what they do than I am. I'm critical on myself. So what I really need is I need a leader to be like, dude, don't get into that negative zone where you're like, I'm the worst ever. You're better than that. And you can do that. But you have to recognize that. So if Igor will play better tomorrow because he didn't talk to Rick Carpinello yesterday, hey, never talk to these guys ever after a bad game. Never. I don't care. I want you to play well tomorrow. I don't give yesterday. That shit happened already. We could talk about it, but who gives a shit? Now, when you string together 6 and 7 bad games, now we need to talk about what the fuck just happened. But if you had a 1 bad game, 2 bad games, like, listen, we know what Igor Shesterkin's capable of. And quite frankly, like, nobody cares about what he has to say after a bad one.
I think anybody that's ever played the game of hockey, and I think any real Ranger fan, all you want to do at that point is give, especially after last year and after the effort that he gave, is give him a pat on the back. Like, dude, you got this, bro. Shake it off. We're with you. That's all he needs. You know, like, give him a little confidence. And the way people are reacting, like, oh my God, he sucks. We're done. We're doomed. Like, dude, stop. Relax. You know, Igor is still a stud. He's having a bad run of things. You know what I mean? If he gets hot at the right time, would it matter? Would this conversation we're having right now matter at all if he goes friggin' shutout after shutout through the playoffs? Would anything matter? Nothing would matter. Zero. So it's like people are freaking out as if the guy's career thus far, while it's a very short career, hasn't spoken for itself already. He's not all of a sudden going to be a scrub goalie playing for friggin' Hartford next year and then on to playing the Saskatchewan Pond League. It's not happening.
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, eh?
Moving on to what I was talking about before.
It's the third period. I didn't pour myself a bourbon. I'll be right back.
Are you seriously going to leave me right now?
Dude, I mean, it's we're down 3-1.
Get yourself a bourbon. I'll sit here and talk to myself. So we were talking about before, I feel like the guys over at Sports Addicts, talking to myself by myself with no friends, it's hurtful. But luckily, Big Tom just sent me a text. He said, it's team defense issue, not an Igor solo. I agree with you, Big Tom. It is a team defense issue. If you watch today's game, Halak got left to dry at least twice. So this game should be 1-1 if the team played as a team defense. There were certain plays where you just sat there and you're like, what is everybody else who's on the ice doing right there? They're nowhere near the play, or they're so late on the play that there's nothing Halak can do to try and stop that goal from taking place. So it's absolutely a team defense thing, and it's definitely not just solely on Igor. But as I was saying about the All-Star game, as TJ comes back to join us, there are obviously the 4 major American sports, and pretty much all sports have an All-Star game, so to speak. And T, in your mind, what's the best All-Star game? Or rather, what's the All-Star game that still kind of matters?
Hmm.
Or if you would rank them, how would you rank them?
Are we including all the pomp and circumstance, like the
Yes. We're the events,
events?
the competitions, and all that other shit. The whole All-Star weekend, or All-Star week, or the All-Star break, whatever you want to call it.
So we're going right now, as of right now,
As of today.
Me personally, I think that the top is probably baseball because of the home run derby, puts it over the edge a little bit. I think the MLB, you could still play the game pretty much 100% and have the game matter. I think the MLB still is the tops. After that, I would put the NHL, even though they had a poor showing this year. Then I would have to go the skilled competition, but the way they did it this year, and PK Subban running his mouth, PK Sluban, if you will, being the host, that was dreadful. It was very slow how they broke down the events this year. It was weird. There was no flow to it. There was no whatever. After that, I would probably say NBA, and I think the worst is the NFL. No one gives a shit. Nobody wants to show up. Nobody cares at all.
The NFL moved into a flag football style this year, which honestly, I think was a little bit better.
I didn't watch, so I wouldn't know.
But to me, with the whole flag football concept, the only thing that kills me is that, so you have offensive linemen that show up and do nothing.
Right.
They're just there. Because flag football, do you really play offensive line, defensive line, try to sack the court? I mean, you do-ish, but you kind of just stand there. You're not.
Not really, because what are you going to do? Dude, it's still pretty easy.
And that's it.
You're pushing off another grown-ass 350-pound man. You can still tear something. You're not really going hard for a game that doesn't mean shit.
You know what, though? And I said this earlier this week. The reason the All-Star game once upon a time meant something years ago, especially in sports like the NBA and the NHL, maybe football a little bit to a certain degree, was that teams had players forever.
Yeah.
Certain players, like it's gotten to the point where NBA specifically, where players are so friendly because they can easily leave teams after a year or two, that when they go to the All-Star break, they're just sitting there plotting their next super team. They couldn't give a shit about that game. Nobody wants to do the dunk contest. It's gotten to the point where the dunk contest is like, all right, well, we've seen everything already. Like, I remember being a kid, Michael Jordan doing the shot from free throw line, the dunk from the free throw line, being impressive. And now everybody and their mother's been practicing that since they're 16 years old. Right. Whereas when Mike did it, nobody tried that.
I was going to say, the NBA All-Star game, like, that was a spectacle when it was Jordan and Ewing and Pippen and all these guys, and you know what I mean, like Barkley. And
back in the day, you had guys like Jordan doing it. You had guys like Dr. J doing it. Thank you, Big Tom. Dr. J was doing it. You had guys like and his name is escaping me for some reason. Damn it. So like the struggle is very real right now. But you wouldn't see another goal for the Detroit Red Wings. I blame Dave Coulier for this. But those guys kind of set the tone for what it was going to be. And in years past, recently, when you saw guys like Nate Robinson, who's 5'10", going up in the dunk contest, that's fun. He's 5'10". Right. But as I've always said, basketball is the easiest sport. Be tall, and you're automatically better than everybody who is not tall. And there's some basketball fan out there to be like, that's not true. This guy's 7 foot and he sucks. Does somebody pay him to play basketball? I think they do. He must be pretty good. And I guarantee you he's better than everybody who's 5'10". Guaranteed. Easy. Just because he's 7 foot, he's better than everybody that's 6 foot. And they'll be like, oh, that's not true. Listen, if you're 7 foot and don't play basketball, and I'm 6 foot and don't play basketball, you will play in the NBA, and I will not.
Listen, man, all I know is I'm like 5'7" and white, so I'm double handicapped. It's over for me. I have no shot.
The point being is watching a guy who's 6'9", 6'8", dunk on a 10-foot rim, just so you know, your arm width, right? Your wingspan is about your height. So if you're 7 foot, your arms across are about 7 feet, right? So that makes one of your arms about maybe 2.5 feet.
3 foot.
I
Yeah.
would call it 3. It's about 2.5 because your chest is probably 1.5 feet.
So you're essentially jumping up off the ground about 6 inches to a foot.
And then you're just dunking. Like, that's not impressive. It's not. Put a midget on the rim, and now it's entertaining. Let the midget get a stick, and he just waves a stick back and forth. Put a blindfold on the midget, and now he can't even see. He's got to listen to his teammates. He's like the goalie, but he's sitting on the rim, and God forbid you go for a dunk, right? And you knock the midget off the rim. Put a little bungee on him. Watch the midget go up and down. I'm watching that game every day.
You want to talk about the purest form of basketball? It was slam ball, because you put a trampoline there, and everybody's a giant.
Slam ball's incredible.
Dude,
And
even at the playing field.
They didn't like the competition.
Well, listen, and it's pretty damn easy to get fucked up on a trampoline. Next job of Chamberlain.
Coach Carter was a coach at slam ball. All right. But yeah, easily MLB has the best all-star game. The home run derby is great. The players still go out there and try. They still want to win. They still want to show up too. They want to be there. They bring their kids. They bring their family. It's something that they want to do versus the number 4 in the pick, the NFL, where none of them want anything to do with it. By the way, Big Tom said Dominique Wilkins, and he's absolutely right. That's who I was thinking of, and the name wasn't coming to me. Was a huge dunker back in the day, big slam dunk contest kind of guy. But again, in today's NBA, I want to say the guys that they brought in this year aren't even in the NBA. They're G League players.
Yeah, it's
sad. Imagine going to the home run derby and watching. And honestly, baseball has gotten to that point to a certain degree as well, where they'll bring guys into the home run derby because they're the hometown guy. I remember I don't recall who it was. I want to say it was Mike Sweeney, but I don't think that's the right answer. He was in the home run derby because the game was played in Kansas City. And you see everybody rolling in there. That's a home run hitter. And they've got, 15, 16, 20 home runs at the All-Star break. And he had 9. And I'm like, what the fuck's this guy doing in the home run derby? I don't think it was Mike Sweeney, though. I can't remember who it was. But yeah, I remember watching going, this guy doesn't belong here. The only reason he's here is because he's a hometown hero. And like, that's one thing about the MLB All-Star game that I would get rid of. That there has to be a representative from every team because the Oakland Athletics do not deserve an all-star. They don't.
Why do you hate Billy Beane so much? You ruined the game of baseball. I know.
Baseball, hands down, they ruined the game of baseball. It's sabermetrics. I'm not going to get into that. We're talking about the All-Star game, but
I'm just saying. You know what, Dad? I know you're listening. I know you're watching. Another trip up to Cooperstown. This time we'll remain sober because Nick needs an influx of joy in his life.
You talk about my girlfriend and I are living together. I have plenty of joy in my life. She's here all the time. It's great.
I understand that, but was there any more joy than when we went over to the exhibit for the Negro League Baseball and there was the sign that said whites only, and then I pushed you out of the doorway and pointed, and my father snapped a picture? I mean, that's the kind of joy that you can never get back, Nick. The best is people are watching us do that like, what the fuck is going on? This is wrong on so many levels. Why are they laughing?
Big Tom says he's in. That's it. We're bringing Steven.
Steven hates baseball.
That's because he can't play baseball.
But he'd like the bar. He would like Cooperstown Distillery. And we got to go to Omegang.
Omegang. I've been to Omegang. Omegang is very nice.
I think we should just stay there for the night. Just get all sorts of messed up.
That's a trip, sir.
Paint the town red. I think most of the buildings are brick, so it's already red, but whatever.
It's not my favorite color, but
Oh shit. This just in.
Talk to me. That's awful. I didn't even know that picture existed, but I'm glad to have seen it.
I'm going to forward that to the military tonight.
Jesus.
Listen, if you don't have a sixth sense of humor and you can't laugh at all the fucking horribleness in life, I don't know what you can laugh at. That's the kind of picture that gets me canceled. Oh, that's right. I can't get canceled.
It was Billy Butler. Was an all-star that year for the Royals. It was 2013, and he was in the home run derby. And I was like, who the fuck is that? And why is he here? Because I remember being a kid in the 90s and watching guys like Griffey, guys like fucking Canseco, who was good at it for a time. You watch guys like Frank Thomas. You're watching McGuire. You're watching Sosa. And
Dude, let's call it what it is. Ken Griffey Jr. had the purest baseball swing ever. Like, ever. Watching him swing a baseball bat is like, it's like Beethoven writing a symphony. You know what I mean? Like, it's Ken Griffey Jr.'s swing was just pure magic. I like that hat.
It's Ken Griffey Jr.
Is it?
Yeah, look, his hat's backwards.
It has backwards, right?
It's Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh shit, love it.
Yeah, I got this when I got MLB The Show 17. He was on the cover. I got the special edition, and they made a hat, and it's the MLB logo with Ken Griffey Jr. on it. And honestly, if the MLB changed their logo tomorrow, right now MLB's logo is nobody. It's not.
My father's just firing off on all cylinders. I forgot we did this shit.
You're
yeah. I was a little heavier in this picture, but you can make your own. You can make your own baseball cards, and this is what I went with.
Looks like Kurt Kreischer. Halfway through a show, he's like, "I gotta take my shirt off. This is great."
They might not let us in Cooperstown anymore. I'm just saying.
Listen, I get in for free. I'm all right with it.
I think like people that aren't allowed in the hall is like Pete Rose and then me.
Wait, remember that pizza spot we went up to up there? That was pretty good too.
Everything was good up there, other than the drive home because I don't remember it because I slept the whole way because I was hammered.
I remember stopping at a weird gas station or something on the way up.
I do remember that. I'm pretty sure I ran in and got beef jerky and fell back to sleep.
To take a piss, we went there, and I was like, "This is awkward. Now, why are we on some random ass road?" I was like, I remember sitting there thinking, like, we're going to the Hall of Fame, I think, because they didn't tell me where I was going. So, just background story: I was going overseas, and one of my best friends, TJ, calls me up and goes, "What are you doing Saturday?" I said, "Nothing." He goes, "Good. I'll be at your house at 4:30 in the morning. Be ready. You can't ask me where we're going, and we can't talk about it later." I said, "Whose car are we taking?" He goes, "Mine." I said, "Okay." I was standing outside my house at 4:30 in the morning, and he shows up with his pop. I said, "Are there shovels in the trunk?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, let's go." And we just started driving north. I didn't know where the hell we were going. And I've been to Cooperstown a few times, and I've never gone that way. So I was starting to get concerned because I was like, where the fuck are we going? Yeah, we took the back roads, and it was awkward, to say the very least. But great trip. Good times. I love it.
Excellent trip. That was my first time in Cooperstown, man.
Oh yeah. We have to go back. Now that Junior's in there, we got to go back.
By the way, this bar was excellent. My father has all the pictures.
That's Cooperstown Distillery, the front. When I say the front, I mean the.
Well, that was the bar that they had, Cooperstown bar. That was
no, that's Cooperstown Distillery's storefront. They only sell Cooperstown.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Those awesome freaking
right
toothpicks.
I have it over
Martini
here.
Toothpicks.
There, give me 1 second. I have it right here.
Martini toothpicks at that place were beautiful, and the end of it was a baseball, and it was like, wow, you did it.
I had to bring these home because I thought they would look awesome. You know, holding olives for martini. Or even I put my maraschino cherries on for an old fashioned, but they have little baseball toothpicks from Cooperstown. Dude, these were awesome. I remember grabbing them like people thought we were weird. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking these home from my bar.
Listen, I'm a baseball guy. They have baseball. I miss playing baseball so that I could go back up there and buy a new bat. Because you can buy bats up there there's a store that will make you a bat. That's like, and when I say make you a bat, I mean they make real bats, and then they also sell Rawlings bats and Louisville Slugger bats. And stuff like that. But yeah,
I mean, enamored by the Ranger game. Yeah, dude, that was an awesome trip. I think next time we have to bring our gloves and have a little catch up there
on Doubleday Field. Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of men's league game up there too while we were there on Doubleday Field, which is where they filmed A League of Their Own on Doubleday Field. But all that being said, I think we ranked them right. Major League Baseball has the best All-Star game. NHL's number 2. NBA's number 3. The NFL had to change their All-Star game because it got to the point where nobody was playing while on the field. It's an embarrassment. I think the furtherance of why it's not good is because they play the NFL All-Star game in the same spot every year. And for years, it was in Hawaii, and nobody could go. Nobody would go. Like, the players would go simply because they could get a free trip to Hawaii, but nobody would actually go watch the game. MLB is good because every year it's in a different location. Every year it's in a different location. So it's just different. Every year you get a different jersey every year to match the home team, whatever team owns that stadium. I think NBA does the same thing where the All-Star game's in a different location every year. And that's good. You spread the game around. You get to get a stud to show up to a team that's a shit team. Like tomorrow, if the All-Star game was in Oakland, don't get me wrong, that stadium does not deserve an All-Star game because it's a shit stadium and shit game. But let's say they did it. At least the people of Oakland would actually get to watch good baseball players play baseball.
That's true.
That being said, that's all I've got. T, you got anything else for the crowd?
We got a fight going on right now. 8 minutes left in the third period, and we got an all-out brawl going on in the corner. Lingridge grabbing Zadina.
That's not a fight. That's a scrum.
I don't know who he's on top of, but he's like grabbing at him.
It's Foxy.
It is Fox. I don't know what happened. It looks like he buried him, probably hit from behind. Panarin in the mix. Panarin was getting nasty in there too.
He's too little to be getting nasty. Why do they all have to have?
I don't care. I still love it. You got to have tenacity, especially when you're down by a couple goals in the third period. You don't want anybody taking liberties on you.
That's a stoppage at 8:15, and apparently Panarin got ran, and therefore Foxy came in and put the hurting on somebody.
Beautiful.
With the world. That's all I have. T, you got anything?
I mean, I think we covered it all. We reminisced about Cooperstown. We talked about the Rangers.
That was totally.
Andrew from Divots and Pivots come on and talk to us about golf and live and PGA Tour. Dude, I'm all jazzed up. The only thing that's pissing me off right now, I don't have a roast beef sandwich in real life to enjoy.
It's only 9:30.
Yeah, but his ShopRite's still open.
That being said, I'm Nick. That's TJ. This is Scoreboard Addicts Podcast. Often imitated, never duplicated. Don't fall for the wish.com addicts. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We'll catch you next week.
Toodaloo!